Howdy, it's Jace. I've not recorded one of these live before, but I'm having some technical issues with my regular setup. So we're trying something new today, which is perfectly in line with what we are talking about. Are you someone who has regular slips or you're repeatedly relapsing? You're really trying, really putting in strong efforts into your recovery process, but you're just not able to get sober or stay sober or really just get the results that you're working for. If that is you, stick around. It's exactly what we are talking about today and how you actually have an advantage over other people in recovery. Now, disclaimer, I am not encouraging anyone to go out and slip regularly or repeatedly for this purpose. However, if you're already in that situation, that's a different story, and we can totally use that. So don't go just put yourself in that situation. But if you're already there, let's talk about some things you can do and why it's a benefit for you. So for any of us in recovery, we usually are following some kind of process, whether that's through a clinician or a 12-step or another form of community recovery. Maybe you've gone to a rehabilitation center, whatever it is, there's a process that most of us follow. Now, people who are successful don't just consume the things they're given blindly. We start that way. We all start that way because we don't know what the heck's going on and we need help, immediate help right away. And we just say, yes, I'll take it. Whatever you got, I'll take it, right? At least that was me and a lot of folks that I've spoken with. In time, we learn that we have to have tools that are specific for us because we are all unique. Though we have many similarities as people in recovery. I don't know about you, but I was kind of insulted, a little bit of hurt feelings when I found out I wasn't a unique snowflake and so many people shared similarities with me as a person in recovery. But really, our lives are different. The further we grow into health, we become different. And things are continuously changing. We have got to change with them. There's just no way around that. So I always say, if you limit your tools, you limit your life. So we are talking about having what I call the Mary Poppins toolkit, where you could just be pulling stuff out of there all day long until you find the one thing that works, right? So we're talking about filling that toolkit. It's endless. You don't have limited space that you can put your tools, right? So one of the biggest things that you can do, I guess you could call it a tool, it's more of a practice, is observation and tracking. You're not able to make changes if you have no metrics of any kind on what's going on in your life and in your recovery process and the tools that you're utilizing within that. If you're just guessing each time, you might hit on it. You might have some success here and there, but it's going to take forever and you're never going to know what's working and what's worth tossing out. And you're not able to be proactive in getting ahead of the triggers. So some really important metrics that you can keep. And I don't know if you're like me, metrics sound so boring and terrible. I don't want to do anything with that, but it is really important. So tracking your day every day for at least a week, ideally longer, a month would be great. The more data points you have, the more information you have to use. It's not about like, oh, it's another task to do. I mean, this is about having the life you want. If you don't want to put effort into it, you're not going to have much in life. Like, I'm not attempting to be insulting, but that's just the truth, isn't it? We get out what we put in. That's true in life and recovery and business and relationships and absolutely everything. So this might sound boring, it might sound hard or lame, whatever. Without knowing what's going on, you have no way to make informed choices. So for a week, at a minimum, ideally longer, for every day, observe and track your triggers. When you notice that you're wanting to act out or use or engage in your addictive behaviors, make a note. What is going on right now? Where is this coming from? What just happened? Oh, I had this interaction with this person. Or, oh, I'm feeling rejected right now. Or, man, I don't feel adequate. I just had a meeting with my boss and he said this, this, and this. And now I'm feeling inadequate. That pushed a pain point. Meeting with boss when they said this. Okay, feeling inadequate, trigger. Anxiety is a trigger. Running late for things, that's a trigger. When did it happen? What happened? And how did it make you feel? If you can track that, then you're able to take that information and proactively make a plan to be ready when you know those situations are coming, because we know they're going to keep coming. There is no snapshot of life where we like have nailed it and everything's perfect and smooth, and then we just like take that snapshot and then it stays that way. That might sound insane to you, but I really think I was actively trying to do that at one point. Like, if I can just get everything in place, it'll stay there. Okay, it doesn't work that way. Spoiler alert. It's not going to. People are going to say something that might be hurtful, or anxiety will happen, or all of a sudden you will lose a job or a relationship or a loved one, or part of your identity will fall apart and you won't know what to do. That stuff's going to happen. So if you can be ready and you are well practiced in observing that stuff, you can get ahead of it and you won't have to use a negative, unhealthy coping strategy, which is what our addiction behaviors and using and acting out, all of those are coping strategies for discomfort, basically, feelings of pain. So if you know that, you can recognize, I'm feeling pain right now. I'm feeling discomfort right now. I feel inadequate, and that makes me feel gross. And I want to not feel that way anymore. And, then we go and we act out. But there are other options. But the time to decide on another healthier option is not super effective right when you are feeling that pain or discomfort. So get ahead of it. Have a plan in place, ready to rock before it happens. And you're able to pull out that action plan the moment you have the observation around what's going on. Same thing with tools. Track the tools that you're using. If you are using the same tools without getting the results you want, that's nuts. If you do not have your life exactly as wonderful as you want it, if you are not exactly the person you want to be, tweaks have to be made until that happens. And that's what we all deserve. We all deserve to have the level of satisfaction we're willing to work for. So if you're not there, you got to find the missing ingredients or the things that need to be shifted, maybe just a little bit, some things, maybe a lot, other things just thrown out altogether. If it's not benefiting you, just toss that right out. But you won't know that if you don't have any idea of what's going on. So keep a log, same thing, right? Don't keep any of this stuff up here. It's not going to stick. You can't go through a month's worth of stuff up here. You might think you can, you cannot, not because there's something wrong with you. We just can't do that as humans objectively. So keep a log of your tools as well, especially around the time where you have a slip or you relapse. Okay, what was I using? Okay, I do an accountability check-in. I do my, maybe you do prayer and meditation. I went to a meeting. Maybe you're skipping these things, right? Maybe, that's a whole other thing, but write down all of the things that you're using. And then if you feel like, okay, all of these things are beneficial for me, then it's not a matter of taking something out. It's a matter of putting something new in. And that's where we start developing new tools and having those in the Mary Poppins style bag where you can keep pulling things out of forever until you find what works. But you have to be able to have some kind of system to know what's working and what's not working. If you are maybe someone where late at night, that's when you act out, right? And you know that because you've been tracking it for the last month and you go, I always act out after 9:30 p.m. Every time I've acted out, it's been 9:30 p.m. Okay, boom. Now we have an action plan ready to rock so that you're ready for things after 9:30 p.m. And you find that, it's when I am on my computer. On my computer after 9:30 p.m., I am acting out. Okay, then a tool could be maybe instead of being on the computer, you're reading a book. an actual physical book. Do you remember those? Maybe that's what you're doing. Maybe you're calling a friend okay. Well, I'm old. I'm like, I would be sleeping at that point, but you're maybe hipper and you're awake at that time and your friend's awake at that time. And so maybe that's your tool. Maybe you go to bed earlier. Maybe you incorporate exercise so you're tired by 9:30, right? And you do one thing. You change one thing or add one thing. If you do everything at once, again, you won't know what's working. So if you throw in like 19 new things that you're doing, maybe 3 of them work and the other 16 aren't doing anything for you, but now you have to do 19 things forever because you have no idea what is working. So do one thing at a time, change one thing at a time. If it works, boom, you found your missing ingredient. If it kind of works, keep it around, keep testing it, keep playing with it. If it didn't work at all, ditch it. Who cares? If it worked for someone else, but it don't work for you, throw it out. There's no need to hang on to things if they don't work for you. Maybe it'll work for you later. Maybe keep an open mind. Try it out again later. We change all the time. So our tools have to keep changing with us. So, stay open-minded with those things, but turn yourself into an experiment. You can do this in every part of your life, but especially with regard to slips and relapse. Start experimenting on yourself with what works, what doesn't work, and what is getting you to that point of relapse in the first place. Then you can get ahead of it and you can bring in these new tools that you know work because you have been testing them and tracking them. It might not sound like fun. You don't have to do it forever. It will be a game changer if you can commit to that for 1 month. If you do that for 1 month, you could change your life forever. If 1 month turns out to not be enough time, or maybe you have a really good month, no slips, no problems, you're feeling good, you don't even want to act out, then bring that on to the next month, right? You need data. You need sufficient data to read in order to start experimenting. So for however long you have sufficient data, do it for that amount of time and then make tweaks. And if you get into that practice of observation and experimentation and just tweaking here and there, you will be able on your own to find the perfect formula for your own success. And you can do it in absolutely every area of your life. So takeaways: track your triggers, physically track them, write it down, or do an electronic thing. Track your triggers, find out what is going on before you had that feeling of wanting to use or act out, and track your tools that you're using so you know what works for you and what doesn't work for you. Do that for the next 30 days and start making tweaks, start making yourself a guinea pig, and have all the success that you want to have in life, whatever that looks like for you. It's what I call the boldly satisfying life. That's it for me. If you want more, check out jacedowney.com. Until I see you next time, don't settle for sober. It's only the beginning.